Rogers, and we thought we were the best comedy team since Laurel.
They made us believe in perfect love. Him, the charming husband, her, the witty, radiant wife. But what if the chemistry on the Dick Van Dyke Show wasn't just acting? What if something real was happening behind the scenes? Now, at 99 years old, Dick Van Dyke is finally breaking his silence about Mary Tyler Moore. The truth, the heartbreak, and the connection that never became what fans always hoped. This isn't just nostalgia. It's a confession decades in the making. And once you hear it, you'll never see the show the same way again. When the Dick Van Dyke Show first aired in 1961, American audiences were instantly hooked. Dick Van Dyke, playing the affable comedy writer Rob Petrie, and Mary Tyler Moore as his stylish, sharp-witted wife Laura, created a couple so believable, so magnetic, that people began to ask, was there something more going on off-screen? The answer wasn't simple. What they had was real, just not in the way people hoped. Born as Richard Wayne Van Dyke in 1925 in West Plains, Missouri, Dick Van Dyke grew up in Danville, Illinois. He almost became a minister, but found himself drawn to the stage. He joined the Army Air Forces during World War II and ended up entertaining troops. By the 1950s, he was appearing on national TV and soon landed on Broadway, where he starred in Bye Bye Birdie, earning a Tony Award. Then came his career-defining role in The Dick Van Dyke Show, followed by film classics like Mary Poppins and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. But while the world saw his smile, few saw the battles he fought. Dick Van Dyke struggled with alcoholism for years, finally seeking treatment in 1972. He later admitted the guilt he felt from an affair with actress Michelle Triola, which contributed to the breakdown of his marriage to Marjorie Willett, whom he had married on a radio show in 1948. They had 4 children together, but after years of separation, they divorced in 1984. Then there was Mary Tyler Moore. Born in Brooklyn, New York in 1936, her family moved to Los Angeles when she was just 8. Her early TV days included dancing as a Hot Point elf and showing only her legs and voice as a phone operator in Richard Diamond, Private Detective. But everything changed when she was cast as Laura Petrie. Her capri pants became a fashion statement. Her comedic timing became iconic. When the Mary Tyler Moore Show debuted in 1970, she redefined what it meant to be a woman on television. Playing Mary Richards, a single independent woman working in a Minneapolis newsroom, she gave the world a character that inspired millions. The show won 29 Emmy Awards and broke barriers with grace and humor. Off-screen, Mary's life was filled with both triumph and tragedy. She married Richard Meeker at age 18 and gave birth to her only son, Richard Meeker Jr., in 1956. Her marriage ended in 1962, the same year she married Grant Tinker, a CBS executive who helped launch MTM Enterprises. That marriage, too, would eventually dissolve in 1981. In 1980, tragedy struck Mary Tyler Moore when her only son, Richard Meeker Jr., died in a devastating gun accident, just weeks after the release of Ordinary People, where Mary portrayed a grieving mother. It was a heartbreaking twist of fate, where life eerily mirrored art. At the same time, both Mary and Dick Van Dyke were grappling with their own demons. Mary battled alcoholism, seeking help at the Betty Ford Center in 1984, and successfully quit her long-standing smoking habit. Her health struggles didn't end there. She was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes in 1969, a lifelong condition she faced with courage and advocacy. Despite the sorrow, Mary remained resilient, using her pain to inspire strength in others. Despite their shared pain and history, Dick and Mary never turned to each other for support. They never became the couple fans hoped for. Instead, they drifted apart. Not out of anger, but because life carried them down different paths. Still, the bond between them never fully vanished. In interviews, they always spoke of each other with warmth and admiration. Dick Van Dyke once said that Mary changed him more than any other woman in his life. Mary, in turn, often praised Dick's humor and generosity on set. Their chemistry may have begun as fiction, but it was grounded in something real: respect, joy, and a deep emotional connection. In his later years, Dick Van Dyke found happiness with Arlene Silver, a makeup artist 46 years his junior. They married in 2012 after meeting 6 years earlier at the SAG Awards. Together, they've danced, laughed, and weathered wildfires in Malibu. Dick, still full of energy in his 90s, even wowed the world as the gnome on The Masked Singer in 2023. Mary Tyler Moore, meanwhile, spent over 30 years with her husband, Dr. Robert Levine, whom she met when he treated her mother in the early 1980s. Despite numerous health scares, including brain surgery, kidney issues, and near blindness, she remained a fierce advocate for diabetes awareness, earning national awards and respect for her advocacy. But in 2017, the world said goodbye to a woman who had helped reshape television forever: Mary Tyler Moore. She passed away at Greenwich Hospital in Connecticut, the official cause listed as cardiopulmonary arrest brought on by pneumonia. She was 80 years old. Her funeral was quiet, private, and intimate, fitting for someone who had lived so publicly but carried so much quietly. Her passing marked the end of an era, not just for her fans, but for those who had walked beside her during television's golden age. One of those people was Dick Van Dyke, and when he spoke of her afterward, his voice carried more than just sadness. It carried a sense of unfinished thought, of something left behind. He praised her endlessly: her intelligence, her talent, her natural comedic instinct, and most of all, her warmth. But beneath the admiration, there was a deeper emotion, one that hinted at a quiet regret, as though there were things he never got to say, as though her absence left a space in him he hadn't fully understood until it was too late. Their story was never a love affair in the traditional sense. It wasn't filled with scandal, nor fueled by headlines, but that didn't make it any less real. What Dick Van Dyke and Mary Tyler Moore shared was rarer, something built not on passion, but on trust, timing, and an inexplicable emotional rhythm. They were never lovers, but they understood each other in ways that only people who've stood side by side on stage 5 years straight can. For millions, their bond as Rob and Laura Petrie felt authentic. And maybe that's because it was. Not romantic, not scripted, but a real, deep friendship forged through laughter, shared silence, and mutual growth. They came into each other's lives at just the right time. They gave each other space to shine. And then life, with all its messiness and distractions, took them down separate paths. Still, the magic they created together remains. It lives in reruns, in laughter, in those quiet black and white moments that feel just as fresh decades later. In the end, their greatest legacy wasn't just comedy, it was connection. They didn't just make history, they made each other better. If their story touched your heart, take a moment to remember your favorite Dick Van Dyke or Mary Tyler Moore moment. Was it a joyful dance, a heartfelt glance, or a line that made you smile? Their magic, as Rob and Laura Petrie, still lives on in all of us. If you felt the connection too, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more timeless stories from Hollywood's golden age, because some memories are too special to fade. Thanks for watching.